Welcome to Matinee Heroes. I'm your host, Craig Price, and something always goes wrong every show. Hitting a button and showing my face early is one of them. Welcome to the CastOFF. This is the show where two contestants compete by recasting your favorite actors in movies that you love. And tonight we finish round 2 with a mystery. Who will be the last one in to the semifinals? And let's do a quick recap before we start. And it's real easy. We had the great and wonderful Jake Dietz go against the great and wonderful Alex Barnhill, and Jake soundly beat him to move on to the semifinals, to battle Chaz Evans. But tonight, we have something even better. We have a rematch, and that is two great contestants from last year's semifinals. In this corner, from Houston, Texas, the one, the only, Randy Redacted. And from the Great Salt Lake area, we have Tracy Mangum. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the show. How are you guys?
I'm doing fine. Thank you for having me.
It's been months.
Doing great.
I know, right? It's been a while.
When was the last time you were on? Like in October?
Yes. I feel like I went through 2 holidays before I got called back.
3. Thanksgiving, Christmas, and New Year's.
I don't ever count New Year's because it's just all the mush together and like, yeah.
Well, we'll start with you, Randy, because it's been a while. And you have been on the show. You were the first one in. You're the last one out. How have things been going down there in Houston in the Colt 45 podcast?
Oh, we're doing awesome. We just finished all of our Nightmare on Elm Street series. We've seen them all now. I've seen them all. I am now an expert in both Jason and Freddy. And now I don't remember how to drive because it's just like, there's just so much knowledge and nonsense that I have to keep in my brain. And I'm just going to try to scrub it out. But we should be coming up to February here soon enough. And we're going to have ourselves a Black History Month, which will be awesome. All black movies, and yeah, it should be fun.
What kind of black movies? Name me one.
See, I put
because are they blaxploitation?
No,
are they just rock solid?
Well, last year we did like Coffee. I guess that counts, and it barely counts. But like last year we did Night on the Living Dead.
Okay.
And I think we're gonna try It Lives Beneath the Stairs. I think that was on my list.
It Lives Beneath the Stairs. Is that Harry Potter?
No, it was Wes Craven, but it was about a black child, and it centers around. It was more interesting. Like it was a black horror movie. Like it was centering around a black neighborhood and like demons underneath the staircases and stuff like that. I think. Well, I'll have to look into it again.
Well,
I like to run into everything blind.
Okay, yeah, yes, and we'll talk about that in a moment. But we'll get with Tracy. Tracy, from an undisclosed location, you moved since you last logged in. I saw you walk with your laptop.
To get a little bit better Wi-Fi signal here.
Oh, okay, well, yes, we want Wi-Fi. Yeah. We want to keep you on the Wi-Fi. Movies that make us. How things going?
Doing well. We just finished up Jack Black January. So every week in January, we did a different Jack Black film. Next week, we're going to be talking about our favorite cinematographers.
Well, Val shot down when I called it Jackuary because it sounded too gross.
Jackuary.
But before we start,
usually the buzzkill. That's usually Jake.
Yeah, it is usually Jake. I think he just kind of blinked at me when I mentioned it to him. But before I start, we're going to do the movie Clue. Now, Tracy, you rewatched this movie, correct? Just for the show.
I did. I hadn't seen it in several years, so I rewatched it. And then, as always, I overthought my picks and finally got them to you just before the deadline.
And someone who gave me his picks like within 30 minutes after the show was over, that is Randy. Have you ever seen Clue?
Nope. Never seen Clue.
So you've never seen Clue? You saw the trailer.
I saw the trailer. I watched the trailer. It took a little bit. It took like 2 minutes to watch the trailer, so that's how I came up with my picks after that. And I did my standard, like, what do you think of this? And my guy who works with me, he's like, oh yeah, I know those people. I was like, that's enough. That's enough.
Well, I can't say your method is wrong because you are on a 4-game win streak, the longest win streak in the history of CastOFF. So we'll see if that continues. But before we start, just a reminder that every single episode of the CastOFF is brought to you by Matinee Heroes. This weekend, we'll have Carrie Gordon from the I can't remember now. It's Metal Geeks. That's right. I'm blanking. The Metal Geeks, because it's so different to talk about making a Mary Poppins with someone who's so into metal, but Carrie Gordon is. And you can head over to matineeheroes.com to subscribe to the podcast. And while you're there, you can head over to matineeheroes.com/castoff to subscribe to the video theme. But let's get to the rules. They're fairly simple, and they haven't changed since we started. We're going to name an actor and a character. The best choice gets 1 point. I have also selected an actor, and if you have chosen the same one, you'll get a point. But as we learned last week, just because you get Craig's secret selection doesn't mean you're guaranteed best choice, even though it really is. The person with the most points wins, and if there's a tie, we'll talk about a double feature to win, and we'll get to those rules if and when they're needed. Today's additional judges were Brendan Agnew and Derek McCaw. Both of them will be featured in our rom-com February. Brendan and I did When Harry Met Sally, and Derek McCaw and I are scheduled to do Some Like It Hot. So we're going to have a great slate of rom-coms the entire month of February. But tonight, it is Clue, the movie. Something that you will not get at all, Randy, when we talk about some of the character developments. But that's not going to stop you. We're going to start off with Mrs. Peacock, played by Eileen Brennan. Randy, Who do you have playing Mrs. Peacock?
So from the trailer, as you guys call the picture, right? That was what I got. And there's not much like acting behind it. So I was like, I need someone who can look goofy but could also act. So I went with Helena Bonham Carter.
Okay, I think that's kind of pushing it that she looks goofy, but she can certainly look goofy. Other times she can look absolutely brilliant.
Yeah, she was a whole series of Alice in Wonderland movies looking like crazy, but still acting. Plus,
pretty much anytime she's in a Tim Burton's movie. Yes,
I just went through a whole season of The Crown watching her, and mostly just for her, and I was just like, this woman can act.
Yes, she can. I like that you just figured that out. She is really amazing. She was in Fight Club, where she was beautiful and not crazy looking. She was just crazy. Planet of the Apes, where she played a chimp, so she was crazy looking. Mm-hmm. The Harry Potter movies, where she is both crazy and sexy, in that, I think she might do damage, but I might not mind look. And then, of course, right here we have her in Enola Holmes, where she played the badass Holmes mom.
And barely in the movie, but yes.
She's in it enough to be cool. So, Tracy, who do you have to take on Helen Bonham Carter?
So I needed somebody who is going to be funny. I need somebody who is going to be able to play goofy. So I went with some old school Hollywood. I went with Lucille Ball.
Absolutely, yes. Television legend, but she has been in some movies, most famously Yours, Mine, and Ours with Henry Fonda, but then there's a slew of things we've never heard of, like A Girl, A Guy, and A Gob. I have no idea what that is. Then there's That's Right,
like
You're Wrong.
Before A Girl, A Guy, and a Pizza Place?
Yeah, something like that. But I love movie titles back in the 30s and 40s. That's Right, You're Wrong. And then Room Service. I have no idea what else she was in besides anything that was Lucille Ball television show related, but I think she fit right in. So we've got Helena Bonham Carter, Lucille Ball. I went with Betty White because Betty White's awesome. And she's 99. Last week was her birthday. Happy birthday, Betty. I'm sure she's listening.
Yeah, she's crazy.
And the judges went with Lucille Ball. So Tracy gets the first point. Next, we move on to, I wouldn't call him the star of the movie, but I think everybody absolutely just loves Tim Curry as Wadsworth. So Tracy, who do you have playing the butler?
So this was the hardest one to recast. Recasting Tim Curry was just brutally hard. I went back and forth on a couple of different names. We might be able to bring that up in the post-game show. What my other pick was, I went with somebody who would be thought of as a kind of a typical English butler, the stereotypical butler, but he's got to be able to run and he's got to be able to talk fast at the end. I went with David Tennant.
Absolutely, David. And I went and found a picture as best I could of him as a butler.
Well done.
This is him in 80 days, around the world in 80 days. But yeah, he's known for being awesome. Doctor Who, where he runs and talks real fast. Jessica Jones and Broadchurch. David Tennant, yeah. I mean, the one great thing about the butler is if you have a good, solid English actor, you're going to be okay because they know how to do all of it. Unlike Americans that kind of sometimes get pigeonholed into one thing. You know David Tennant, serious. He can do drama. He can do science fiction. He can do comedy. He can do anything.
Well, and he can also be a little bit creepy at the end when one of the endings is revealed.
That's right. So, Randy, just so you know, there's 4 different endings to this movie.
Oh, cool.
And depending on what
makes me want to watch it now.
Yeah, depending on what movie theater you went to in the 80s, 1985, you saw a different ending.
Well, that's just deliberately confusing.
Yes. Okay. So you would go to a movie theater in, let's say, Northwest Houston. Then you'd go to the Galleria, and a friend of yours saw the same movie, and you'd have totally different endings. Because that's how they did it back then, to try to get you 4 times as much.
Yep.
So, Randy, who do you have playing the butler, Wadsworth?
So, I knew that when I told people, like, I'm doing the movie Clue for the show, and they're like, oh, the Tim Curry movie? And I was like, yeah, the Tim Curry movie. Because that's how they identified it, was as the Tim Curry movie. And I was like, all right, so I got to have somebody who you could say, oh, that's his movie, right? Yeah, it's his movie. So I went with Tom Hiddleston.
Absolutely. Tom Hiddleston. I couldn't find a mustache picture for him, but absolutely, because he got the comic chops. We've seen him get funny in Avengers, but we've also seen him do serious stuff like War Horse. Kong Island, he was playing serious, even though it was a super fun movie. And then, of course, he played Hank Williams in I Saw the Light. So he's got a vast range. I couldn't find a mustache picture, though. I'm so disappointed.
You could just paint one on like Henry Cavill.
Yeah, that's true. It couldn't be worse than that. Oh, so we have David Tennant, Tom Hiddleston. I went with Benedict Cumberbatch. Basically, all 3 of these people are the same man.
On my list.
But the judges conferred and went with David Tennant. That was the closest one, because that really, Tom Hiddleston, David Tennant, you could swap them out, and I don't even know if you know the difference. So, Tracy, you go up 2-0.
Feeling like a blowout's happening here. Oh, well.
I don't know. You took me hard last time.
That sounded wrong.
That really did.
It was the worst.
Yeah, can't edit that one out. It's a live stream. Well, now we get on to Madeline Kahn. Oh, what a comedic goddess she is, playing Mrs. White. So, Randy, who do you have playing Mrs. White?
So, I am aware of Madeline Kahn. I've seen her in most of the Mel Brooks movies.
Yep.
And, like, she has this kind of aura of always being, like, on, but not so much on. She could play, like, super glamorous, but also down-home country girl. And I was like, so I need someone who could do a lot of things and kind of be in the age and still be really attractive. Really, that was the other thing. So I went with Rachel McAdams.
Absolutely. I call her the subtle comedy anchor, because after Eurovision, when she's so funny, we all started to realize, oh, she's been funny the whole time. She was funny in Mean Girls and Wedding Crashers and Game Night. She really is rock solid, and this is a fantastic pick because she is beautiful and glamorous. Yes. Tracy, that's going to be a difficult one. What do you got?
That is a tough one. I am a big fan of Rachel McAdams. That is a hell of a pick, Randy.
I really like David Tennant.
So for Mrs. White, I wanted somebody who could be funny and silly, but she's very even level throughout the whole thing. A lot of her comedy is very dry comedy. I thought of this character from the TV show Parks and Rec. I went with Aubrey Plaza because she would often play this kind of character.
Yes, she's not my favorite person. I I think she's a little too snarky and dark most of the time, and not in a fun way, but she was in Scott Pilgrim vs. the World. Indrid Goes West. I saw that movie. That was her main role. I didn't... And apparently she's in the new Child's Play.
She's actually really good in that one.
Does she play the mom?
She plays the mom.
Okay, yep. I didn't know if she was the voice of Chucky's girlfriend. I don't know.
No.
Well,
Mark Hamill wouldn't allow that.
Well, we got Rachel McAdams. We got Aubrey Plaza. I went with Christine Baranski, who is wonderful and talented and can play these over-the-top, but not quite over-the-top people that Randy was talking about.
Yep.
Our judges conferred and went against my vote, and they picked Aubrey Plaza. So Tracy has taken a commanding 3-point lead, but there's still 8 possible points on the board.
It's early still.
It is still early. So we will get along with Tracy. Tracy, coming up next, we have Christopher Lloyd as Professor Plum. Who do you have playing Professor Plum?
So I wanted somebody who would be very funny, who can do dry comedy, and somebody who could really kind of creep you out with some of his suggestions and innuendos. I went with Bill Hader.
Nice. Is he going to do his Vincent Price voice?
Probably.
He was in It, Chapter 2, Trainwreck. I love his show, Barry. And if you've ever seen Documentary Now on, what is it, IFC, that's hilarious, especially if you're a documentary person. Randy, it's going to be tough beating Bill Hader, but it's possible.
Yeah, it is. Okay, this will be fun. So, from the trailer, I got 2 images of Christopher Lloyd. And then
I just love that.
I thought about it. I was like, who is our modern day Christopher Lloyd? And I went with Jim Parsons.
Okay, I've never heard him described as a modern day Christopher Lloyd, but that's okay. He is a human Muppet, and has anybody's ever seen the Muppets? He was the Muppet that turned into a human, so he was the human Muppet. But he has been in a couple movies, Garden State, The Big Year. Didn't you just do The Big Year?
We just did, yep, 1st of January.
And I think he was really good in Hidden Figures, playing a slightly racist guy who slowly becomes less racist versus a completely racist guy who can never be redeemed. But yeah, Jim Parsons, the new Christopher Lloyd. You heard it here first, folks.
Randy, I almost picked him.
Did you?
He was on my final list.
Oh.
Well, we got Bill Hader, Jim Parsons. I was going for a Hugh Laurie. I like Hugh Laurie, especially when he does his American accent. He kind of has that sarcastic but yet still smart feel to him. And the judges went with, Bill Hader.
See what I mean?
This is getting difficult now.
Early.
So it's 4-0, Tracy. We still have 6 possible points, but that means you have to hit every single one. Or you can get 2 if you get my pick and then 2 others. You should be you're gonna have to run the board here.
Okay.
Now we get to Michael McKean as Mr. Green. Now, Randy, you're in control of your own destiny. Who do you have playing Mr. Green? Explain what you think Mr. Green is in this movie.
So, let's see. What I thought was, because it's played by, who's it played by originally? That was what I went with.
That's Michael McKean from Lenny and Squiggy and from Spinal Tap.
So like the last thing I saw him in was The Good Place.
Okay.
And I was like, yeah, this guy, I could totally see interchanging one adorable doofus with another adorable doofus. So I went with Seth Rogen.
He is definitely an adorable doofus. Also kind of like a human Muppet, but we know him more recently as Ted Cruz's nemesis, which I believe I misspelled. That should be 2 E's, not 2 I's.
Love it.
But at least I figured it out live on the air.
Yeah, there it is.
Knocked Up, which is a movie I don't recommend you watch with your in-laws, which I happened to do when I was in Utah. Ooh, that crowning moment is just not expected. It's better than taking my stepfather-in-law to see Dewey Cox, because there's Dewey Cox in that movie.
That's a good one, though.
40-Year-Old Virgin, The Interview, Pineapple Express. He's really more of a producer now, but and then of course he was in that movie where he pretended to be Charlize Theron's boyfriend. Come on, that was ridiculous.
Yeah, a long shot.
Yeah,
That was
long
totally
shot.
believable.
That was impossible, not a long shot. Impossible. All right, Tracy.
Fully something that happened.
You've got basically you've got a free card here. Who do you have playing Seth Rogen's part of Mr. Green?
So Mr. Green, I went with, he's not in a lot of movies. He's been kind of a supporting actor in some films. He's done a lot of television. I went with Neil Patrick Harris.
Yes, he is. He's a triple threat. He can sing, he can dance, he can write, he can act, he can host. He's really good. And of course, you're right. He's not in a lot of movies. Starship Troopers. He was in The Muppets. Gone Girl, which he played a creepy dude in Gone Girl. I didn't see Downsizing, but apparently I hear he's in the new Matrix movie, which
I've heard that. Yeah.
I don't know what the hell he's going to do in that, but
He's going to be the architect.
The architect. All right. We've got Seth Rogen, Neil Patrick Harris. I went with William Jackson Harper, who's Chidi from The Good Place.
Yeah.
Oh,
I like him in Good Place. And it is over. Wow. Yeah. For the first time in history, we have a shutout. And Tracy, you have won. The show's over by 20 minutes. This is crazy. Congratulations. You are today's winner, and you get the final thought.
Well, I have tremendous respect for Randy. He went on Cannonball Run without watching the movie. So when he said he hadn't watched this one, I was very nervous. Hats off to you, and check out his podcast, Cult 45 Podcast. Absolutely. Movies That Make Us is part of the Stolen Droids Network, and we will be having Utah Remote Con 2 coming up in March, and we will be raising money for diabetes research. So we'll have a lot of guests on. Craig, of course, you're going to be a part of it.
Of course.
A lot of different podcasters on talking about a variety of subjects. We have prizes to give away, interactive fun, and all the money, like I said, goes to juvenile diabetes research.
And I just want to reiterate from last week, I did not know that Jake had a diabetic daughter when I scheduled him to do Steel Magnolias. And it was just coincidence that happened. But hey, he won.
You lit a fire under him.
I did. He came in hard. But the semifinals are set. And next week, we have you, Tracy. That's right. You were going to be up against Rob Irvin in the semifinals. Your second semifinals against Rob Irvin. And the movie is not a movie. The semifinals is always weird. We're doing The Office. You are going to have to recast some of the favorite characters from The Office. All right. Wow. Well, if you like tonight's...
I'd have lost anyway.
If you like today's show, follow us on Twitter at Matinee Heroes. You can go to twitch.tv/Matinee Heroes on the Facebook group. And, of course, head over to matineeheroes.com/castoff to subscribe to the video feed. Next week, the semifinals begin. Randy will be here. No, Randy will not be here. I just assumed. Tracy will be here. Randy will be against Rob.
Randy's gonna be.
I know. I have to get all these Randys out. I can't believe this. This is crazy.
Randy's gonna be gone.
So on behalf of Randy and our winner today, Tracy, I'm Craig Price. Thank you guys so much.